There's a difference between a temper tantrum and genuine zeal. Because what Jesus exhibited here was righteous indignation. He stood up for God when he went and he scattered the money all over. And he chased out the people selling all of those animals. They weren't there for the right reasons. All that was going on in the outer court of the temple. This would have been the court of the Gentiles. The next one, inner court, would have been the court of women. The next court inward from that would have been the court of the Israelites. And the next smaller court there would be the court of the priests. And then there would be the Holy of Holies. The court of the Gentiles was the only place that a Gentile could go in the temple. It was the only place. Why is that significant? What's one of the most important things you do when you come to church? Don't you come to pray? Do you appreciate having all kinds of noise and ruckus going on around you when you are trying to come there and devote yourself to God? How easy would that be for you if we had all kinds of people running in and out of here, and maybe we needed some maintenance done on the sanctuary, and the deacons were in here with ladders and hammers, and they're banging away, and somebody else is over here painting. This is going on. There's people laughing and joking. There's a radio going on over here. How easy would it be for you to worship? Let's face it, it wouldn't be. Jesus knew that there were people who were coming and they wanted to worship God and they were unable to because there were other people there who were doing things that were absolutely contrary to what God had called for the people to do. So in his righteous anger, he overturned the tables and he drove them out. Get out of my Father's house. That's not what this is supposed to be about. This is supposed to be my Father's house, where people can come and they can pray. They can worship God the Father. Can you imagine how stunned the leadership would have been? Whoa, who is this? So they gathered a group and they went to him, they're pointing fingers. Can you see him? Who do you think you are? Where do you get off turning over these tables and chasing people out? We've got priests who have been hired and they've been commissioned to inspect these things. What authority do you have? And Jesus gave an answer that would have blown them away. He said, what authority? What sign will I give? I'll tell you what. I'm going to destroy this temple. I'm going to destroy this temple, and I'm going to raise it again in 3 days. Can you imagine how hard they must have laughed when they heard that? Destroy the temple? You by yourself, and then you're going to raise it all in 3 days? It's taken us 46 years to get to where we're at, and we're not done yet. Jesus didn't laugh. He just looked at them, probably pitying them because they didn't understand. In fact, even the disciples didn't really get it at that point. It wasn't until after his death and resurrection that suddenly it came back. It wasn't the physical temple that Jesus was talking about. It was the temple of his body. The temple of his body. Where does God reside? In the temple. Jesus was trying to help them understand when you come, it is to be a house in which you devote yourself to God. Those are the sacrifices I want. Jesus says, when you come, I want you. I don't want just the actions. I want all of you. How about for us today? Why are we here? I think if this passage should do anything, it shouldn't be for me to preach lots of lots of words or eloquent speech. But maybe, just maybe, this morning, it's all about us asking questions. Deep, difficult questions. Penetrating questions. Why are you here today? It was a requirement for the Jews to make a pilgrimage to Jerusalem and to go to the temple for the Passover feast. Okay, we're in the season of Lent. What's Lent all about? It's a time of reflection, a time for us to examine where we're at in our walk with God. There's no better place to do that than here at the church. Is that why you're here today? What is it all about for you when you come here? Do you come because, like for the Jews, it was a requirement? Is it an obligation that you're here to fulfill and nothing more? Are you here because this is the way you were brought up? You're supposed to go to church on Sunday. Is that all? Is that the only reason that you're here? What about sacrifices? Are you here to offer sacrifices to God? No, we don't offer dove or sheep or cattle anymore. We got the tithe, Pastor Greg. We make sacrifices. Is that what it's all about? Is that your sacrifice? Do you just come to do your duty? Or is it more than that? Is it here? Are you just here because, well, you know, God does so much, and, you know, the least I can do is give him at least 1 hour out of my week? What's your attitude about?